September 20th, 1988. A 19-year-old woman rides north on a two-lane highway in Valencia County, New Mexico. She never comes home. Months later, a photograph turns up on the ground in a parking lot 4 states away. And it will change the way an entire country looks at this case. This is the story of the Tara Calico disappearance. How Tara Calico vanished in broad daylight on a road people used every day, and how the Tara Calico Polaroid, found by a stranger in Florida, would consume the investigation for decades. By the end, you'll understand exactly what was in that photograph, why investigators now believe it derailed their case, and why, as of today, no one has ever been charged. Tara Calico was a sophomore at the University of New Mexico Valencia campus. She studied psychology. She worked part-time at the First National Bank of Belen, and most mornings she rode her bike, a regular 36-mile loop along Highway 47, a route she knew by heart. On September 20th, her own bike had a flat tire, so she borrowed her mother's bicycle instead, a pink Huffy mountain bike. At around 9:30 in the morning, she left the family home on Brogue Street in Rio Communities. She wore a white First National Bank t-shirt, white shorts with green stripes, white ankle socks, white and turquoise Avia sneakers, gold hoop earrings, 2 rings. She told her mother something simple before she left. If she wasn't back by noon, come look for her. It was routine. A safety net in case of a flat tire or a fall. She had no idea how literal that instruction would become. Witnesses did see her that morning. Motorists, ranch workers, deer hunters, a neighbor. All of them placed her riding north on 47, and several reportedly noticed something else. An older man in a 1953 to 55 Ford pickup, fitted with a homemade camper shell, driving slowly behind her. That truck and that driver were never identified, never found. The FBI places Tara's last confirmed sighting at approximately 11:45 a.m. Investigators later narrowed the likely window of abduction to about 15 minutes, across roughly 2 miles of that highway. Noon came. Tara didn't come home. Her mother, Patty Dole, did exactly what they'd agreed on. She went looking. When she couldn't find her daughter, the search widened fast. Deputies, mounted units, search dogs, off-road vehicles, family and neighbors on foot. They found almost nothing. No confirmed crime scene, no blood, no bicycle, no body. Near the roadway, searchers did recover a Boston cassette tape and part of a Walkman cassette player, but later review couldn't confirm those items even belonged to Tara. Investigators have been direct about this. There was no reliable physical evidence that an abduction had even occurred. The Tara Calico disappearance starts with a road full of witnesses and almost nothing to hold on to. That's where the case might have stayed, until a woman in Florida looked down at the pavement. June 15, 1989. Port St. Joe, Florida. A woman finds a Polaroid lying face down in a convenience store parking lot. Witnesses reportedly recalled a white vehicle, described as a van or a Toyota van, had occupied that parking space just before. The photograph showed a young woman and a boy, lying on sheets next to a blue-striped pillow. Their mouths appeared covered with tape. Their hands appeared bound behind them. Nobody knew who they were. Nobody knew where or when it was taken. But a month later, Tara's stepfather, John Doyle, heard about it and contacted authorities in Valencia County. When Patty Doyle saw the Tara Calico Polaroid, she said she believed the young woman was her daughter. And more than 1,000 miles away, the parents of 9-year-old Michael Henley, a boy who had vanished back in April of 1988, months before Tara, during a camping trip in the Zuni Mountains, believed the boy in the photo looked like their son too. 2 missing persons cases, both from 1988, both out of New Mexico, suddenly seemed to intersect in a single image. The photograph went to the FBI, to Scotland Yard, to Los Alamos National Laboratory, and the results didn't agree. Some analysts found the resemblance to Tara compelling. Los Alamos reportedly concluded the woman in the photo was not her. The FBI never made a definitive identification either way. Then, in 1990, Michael Henley's remains were found in the Zuni Mountains. Investigators concluded he had most likely gotten lost and died of exposure after his April 1988 disappearance. Not the victim of the man in the photograph. The boy in the Polaroid was no longer believed to be Henley. The connection that had driven national headlines for a year quietly fell apart. Local theories kept surfacing too. Former Valencia County Sheriff Lawrence Romero and his son were, at different points, discussed in connection with the case, though later investigators say neither is considered a person of interest today. Investigators also examined abandoned mines once linked to convicted offender David Parker Ray, though Ray himself was never considered a suspect. Records reportedly place him in Phoenix at the time Tara disappeared. Search warrants, excavations, cadaver dogs, backhoes digging through New Mexico earth. None of it produced Tara. None of it produced her bicycle. In 1998, a judge declared Tara legally dead, her death classified as a homicide. But that was a legal ruling, not a recovery, not a conviction. Her parents spent years going on national television, pleading for answers. Both died without ever getting one. Patty Dole in 2006. Then, in 2013, a 6-agency task force reopened the case. By 2016, Lieutenant Joseph Rowland was leading it, eventually interviewing more than 100 potential witnesses across multiple new excavations. And in June of 2023, something shifted. The Valencia County Sheriff's Office announced they believed they had enough evidence to send the case to the district attorney. Sheriff Denise Vigil said the identities of persons of interest were sealed. Rowland told reporters investigators believed they had identified the people responsible. But as of September 2025, more than 2 years later, no charges had been filed. The case hadn't been formally declined either. It just sat there, under review. In August of 2025, Rowland reportedly placed insect traps near an abandoned mine north of Belen, traps designed to detect the specific insects tied to different stages of human decomposition. Investigators were weighing further testing, including core sampling, if funding and safety allowed. As of today, the Tara Calico case remains open. Her bicycle was never found. No one has been charged. The names investigators believe are responsible remain sealed. Investigators later came to believe something striking about that Polaroid, the photograph that captivated the country, that consumed FBI resources, that connected 2 grieving families to a single, disputed image. They now believe it may have pulled national attention away from the local leads they consider central to the case today. That belief remains theirs, not a proven fact, but the working theory that shapes the investigation as it stands. A young woman rode north on a road she knew, on a bike that wasn't even hers, toward an ending that still hasn't been written. Nearly 4 decades later, the Tara Calico disappearance remains open. The mine is still being tested. The file is still on a prosecutor's desk. And somewhere, the people who know what happened to Tara Calico have never had to say her name out loud.